podcast, a collaboration between KUOW and the Seattle Times. Will, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much.
I'm Deborah Becker. This is On Point.
So what I wanted to say as a follow-up, and I do hope eventually they do a sequel to this show, is that we're not just not dealing with serious mental illness, we're actually endangering society. We have an epidemic, we have a crisis, and I don't know if the speakers touched on enough of the urgency that's needed. And it's not 3 states that don't have AOT. It's only 2, Massachusetts and Connecticut. And AOT and law that would be a link between services and patients like my son would help greatly in reducing the numbers of the population that are in jails right now that need actual treatment. But also what he said about prevention and trampolines. I would like to say that if my son had a brain scan done when he went in to be seen at Cape Cod Hospital, then there would have been a definitive test and no discussion would have had to be had whether or not Nick needed medical treatment. And those tests do exist. It's a brain scan Amen clinics use to determine what type of mental illness we're dealing with. And plain and simple, leukemia patients, they're not getting treated, but then it only affects that one person. When a mental illness, like a serious mental illness, is not being treated, they could endanger like the safety of people around that person. And so it's a little more of apples and oranges, I think, than what they were discussing. And also the stain he was talking about, a stain on somebody's society also should be an indication that we need more effort. And our stain is that when you tell a patient who's severely mentally or seriously mentally ill that they can only receive treatment when they are a danger to themselves or others, that is so much like saying, okay, you have stage 1 cancer. Come back when it's at stage 4, and then we'll treat you. And that's lucky if you can get back at stage 4 before jail happens, before mass shootings happen. I mean, these are untreated mental illnesses right now that are causing the worst tragedies. And the AOT law doesn't prevent all of them, certainly, but it does reduce the numbers. So why wouldn't you at least consider it in Massachusetts? The law itself would be named after Susan Howe. Susan Howe is a tragedy that happened here in Truro, where a 40-year-old serious mentally ill. See, there's a huge difference there. I didn't know the difference in the word. Serious mental illness is even further categorized as serious mental illness with anosognosia, with the inability to see you have the serious mental illness and that you need treatment. Serious SMI. Anyway, they need to have more effort and more energy putting into creatively getting to that population their medical necessary treatment. However it's done, there's a whole other topic of discussion, because there's many different ways now besides the brain scan that you can use to help gracefully and spiritually heal these individuals without traumatizing them in the process. And that's ideally what we want to have long term down the road. Meanwhile, we have to have something in place. And right now, we're not just turning a blind eye, we're also allowing chaos and crisis to go on. So, thank you for listening, and I do hope you can do something for my son, because, yeah, he needs, and he has needed the AOT law in place. If he ever is released, we need to have somebody, not just one person like myself, trying to get the services that are out there, but that aren't connecting with him because he doesn't believe he's ill.